All right, it's Team of the Week time. And my top 3 players from round 2 of the Rugby World Cup. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers, and I am on board the van, the Ford Nugget, that I am spending 7 weeks in, travelling around France and making sure I bring you all the rugby content you could possibly want. So if you appreciate that and you're enjoying the videos, please hit subscribe, like, and leave your comments as well, because just to bookend round 2 as we then start looking ahead to round 3 and some absolutely mouth-watering games. Wales v Australia feels like an elimination match, and South Africa against Ireland, the world champions against the world number ones. I cannot wait, and I will be there for both of those games this coming weekend. But as for round 2, this, as I see it, is the best 15, and then I will pick the top 3 players of the round, as I did for last week. So tell me what you think of, at number 1, for Fiji, Ironi Mawi. Now, I've seen a lot of this guy in the Premiership. He plays for Saracens, and very, very good. But he had an absolutely awesome performance against the Wallabies. They were missing Taniela Tupou, and then Ironi Mawi really made them miss Taniela Tupou. And it wasn't just his scrummaging and set piece. He was very, very hard working around the park. Proper graft. And came up with a famous victory for his team. So definitely, Ironi Mawi is my loosehead prop. Hooker, Dewi Lake. Now, this might seem a little more surprising, perhaps. You know, Wales stuttered a little bit. But they made, 12 or 13 changes to their team. Dewi Lake was one of them who came back in, the skipper, and he was absolutely awesome. He has cemented the fact he is comfortably the best hooker in that squad. He will be starting against Wales and a massive part of their campaign in Pool C. I thought he was really good against Portugal. And back to Fiji for front row. See, this just shows how Fiji have changed. Luke Tanguy, he is my tight head prop. And it was not just the work he did when he was on the field. He went off thinking his work was done on about 55 to 60 minutes. And then there was an injury to the replacement, so he came back on and did it all over again. And yeah, tight head prop, such an important position in international rugby. Fiji have got one that's pretty handy. Tyg Byrne in the second row. He's a contender for player of the tournament so far. What an engine the guy's got. And yeah, I'm just always impressed. I get bored of saying how impressed I am of Tyg Byrne, although I don't get bored of it because I love him. He's brilliant. And in his second row partner for Samoa, Theo McFarland, another youngster who's been coming through in Saracens in England that I've seen a lot of, incredibly athletic, basketball background, and he had a man of the match performance in that game against Chile and was very impressive indeed. Blindside flanker Courtney Laws. Again, England wasn't a vintage performance from them. They got the bonus point victory in Nice. I just think Courtney Laws is such a great leader. His defensive work's been brilliant. He's been playing back to his best, and he wasn't only through the World Cup warm-ups. He wasn't quite looking as good as Courtney Laws has. He's looking outstanding at the minute, and I have to say, I want Owen Farrell back in the England team. It'll probably be there in the 10-12 jersey. I think there's a massive argument that Courtney Laws should stay England captain. Lavani Bottia for Fiji, talismanic, breakdown menace, just a ball of muscle that was so good against Australia and a massive part of the reason why they won that game. So, I mean, a bunch of the penalties that he won got kicked for some of the decisive points as well. But there were other good players that could be mentioned. Nicholas Martins of Portugal, Ben Earl for England was great, open side flanker as well. Number 8, Taulupe Faletau. Another player who hasn't been playing on top form lately, but had a really good game against Portugal, chasing down that Nicholas Martins that I just mentioned for a try-saving tackle. Wrecking ball with the ball as well. So great to see Taulupe Faletau playing well. Scrum half, Cam Roigard. I mean, there were so many. This is the one I came down with. There were so many choices for scrum half. Could have been Cobus Reinach for South Africa. Another rapid hat-trick for him. Could have been Santiago Arata for Uruguay. Was excellent on Thursday night against France. It could have been Kuravoli, who kicked a load of important points for Fiji. Could have been Maxime Luku. He was the player of the match for France on Thursday as well. Cam Roigard, I'm giving it to. And actually, I'll jump these together because my 10, and there were other options. It could have been Johnny Sexton quite easily for this, but I've gone for 10, Damien McKenzie. So Cam Roigard and D-Mac. Let's just remember, neither of those players were on the bench. Were in the matchday squad for New Zealand against France. And round 2, they get a chance, and they're 2 of the best players in their position in the entire tournament. So, come on, Fozzie, what you playing at, mate? Get these 2 involved. You just caught a glimpse of Makazole Mapimpi, who is my choice on one of the wings. And again, it just goes to show the depth that the South Africa squad has, that you sort of haven't been talking about Makazole Mapimpi because he seems to be a backup for the starters at wing. He's an incredibly good rugby player and a brilliant finisher, and that is the prime job of a winger, isn't it? Is to finish, and Mapimpi does that, and he did it very, very well for South Africa in round 2. 12, Bundy Aki. I think he probably is, if you had to pick now after 2 rounds, who is the player of the tournament, it's Bundy Aki for Ireland. He has been sensational. That 12 jersey is his. And when you've got a player of the quality of Robbie Henshaw backing you up, that is saying something. He has been absolutely brilliant, and he looks physically so impressive. So, loving his work. And I have juggled around with the numbers on shirts a bit to accommodate Joshua Tuisova at outside centre. I know he was a 12 for Fiji, but imagine those two, Bundy Aki and Joshua Tuisova in the centres. My goodness me. There'd be some collisions going on. He was brilliant against Australia. The 2 players that Fiji missed from that game against Wales, Tuisova and Bottia, that they're both on the bench because they were recovering from injury. How good were they? And huge performance from Tuisova. A couple of tries. And just a physical freak. Grant Williams on the other wing. So 2 South African wingers. Probably tells you a lot about how that game went against Romania. But I'll tell you what, the versatility in the South African squad. I mean, you've got wingers that are like, you got scrum halves that are like wingers, and you have 2 of them on the pitch, Reinach and Williams. You've got flankers that can play hooker. It's very impressive. Grant Williams, love the guy. Box office, pun intended. And at fullback, maybe a left field choice, but Nuno Sousa Guedes, for Portugal, was amazing. And again, there's so many great fullback performances. The is it Ayarza, the was that the Uruguayan? He was great as well on Thursday night. And there's so many other players I could have mentioned. I'm just thinking, Mac Hansen could have been a shout on the wing. Johnny Sexton, as I say, could have been a shout of fly half. There was a lot of great individual performances this week. As for the top 3 of all of the players that played in the World Cup, this is as I see it, and you may well disagree because, let's be honest, there's tons and tons of players that have played over the last week, and this is very subjective, but my top 3 would be number 3, Lavani Bottia, wrecking ball machine, physical dynamo, and massive part of why Fiji won that game, and a game that really, for the good of the Rugby World Cup, they had to win that game because Pool C is so exciting now. Number 2, Bundy Aki. He's been absolutely brilliant this entire World Cup, and he was again. Ireland's so cohesive. And at number 1, Joshua Tuisova. Those are my top 15 players in each position, and the 3-2-1. What do you make of that? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you on the next video. I cannot wait for round 3 already. I'm so excited. I will be taking the van to Lyon, and then I'll be going up and down on the train to Paris so that I'm at South Africa versus Ireland. What a game. And also Wales versus Australia. What a game. Oh, this World Cup's just getting good now. It's getting really good. It's warming up nicely. I'll see you on the next one.